morning, Rob Miller here, Provisor Incorporated. Today I'm here with Jason Stendalen, owner and agent with C4 Insurance. He's going to talk to us a little bit today about insurance. So Jason, tell me a little bit about C4 Insurance and what is an independent insurance agent?
Sure. First off, thanks for having me here, Rob. I appreciate that. C4 Insurance is an independent insurance agency that works specifically for their client, right? We don't represent one particular insurance carrier. We work with our clients to make sure that we're finding the right coverage at the best possible price. So we may have a couple of carriers that would be fairly close, would make some recommendations based on those coverage and pricing, and then maybe let the client choose.
Thank you. So with my clients and they're buying their first home or maybe upgrading their home or even looking at refinancing their home, tell me a little bit about what particular coverages homeowners should be looking at when they get quotes on insurance.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. Especially recently with COVID, we've seen kind of material and labor costs all over the place. A lot of people, when they think home values, they're always thinking market value or assessed value or appraised value. And when it comes to insuring property, right, especially home policies or rental properties or whatever it is, the insurance carriers really don't care what those numbers are as far as assessed or appraised values. What they're using or what we're required to use is a construction calculator, and we use the zip code and the specific property amenities, right, number of bedrooms, bathrooms, square footage, the style of home, and then that calculates what it would cost to rebuild that property in today's material and labor costs, right? And then they're also factoring in debris removal and remediation and things like that. So carriers do require that we insure properties for replacement costs. It has nothing to do with any of those other values that we had talked about.
Okay. Tell me a little bit about some of the additional coverages that people should be aware of when looking for examples being like service line coverage, water sewer backup coverage, siding and roof restoration coverages.
Yeah, so those again have become more and more popular. One of the biggest ones is guaranteed replacement costs. Most homeowners, carriers limit what they'll pay to replace said property, right? And a lot of times in the event of maybe a catastrophic hail or windstorm, when there's many homes that are damaged, right, with wind and hail, especially with current material and labor rates, those values could be skewed on that property, right? So a lot of carriers are offering guaranteed replacement costs where there is no cap. Some carriers will often pay, 120% of what's on the policy or maybe 150%. There are now carriers that offer guaranteed replacement costs where there is no cap. If there's a property claim, they guarantee that they'll rebuild that property regardless of the cost. You brought up some other really popular coverages that are getting more and more popular. Service line coverage, which provides coverage for those laterals that run either from the street or if you're in the country, it could be anywhere, right? It could be a quarter of a mile or a half a mile away. Those lines that service your property, right? Whether it's electrical or cable or anything, it could be any of those. If those lines are damaged, there is no coverage for that without that endorsement. So a few years ago in Madison and Dane County, the city used to provide coverage for those laterals, and then after that Arctic blast that we had 6 years ago roughly, with all the water line pipe breaks, they transferred that responsibility to the homeowners. You can purchase coverage through the city or Dane County, but it's actually less expensive and better coverage to add to the homeowner's policy. You talked about siding and roof restoration. That coverage is used to provide additional coverage if there's in the event of a claim that part of a roof is damaged, right, and they can't match that roofing or that siding. This coverage can be used to replace stuff that wasn't damaged to help it look aesthetically pleasing, right? And so that can be a huge advantage. And I think you personally went through a situation with that where, maybe I believe your entire roof was replaced with that coverage, right? Because they couldn't match the
Yep,
shingles.
it absolutely was. It was phenomenal to have that coverage, and I thank you for that. Tell me a little bit about bundling. Tell me a little bit about bundling home and auto and umbrella. We hear about it on the TV, on
Right.
radio. Tell me a little bit about what is good about bundling coverages.
I mean, really the key, to bundling is discounts, right? And so most carriers are going to offer a discount, and that discount can, range quite a bit depending on the carrier and each individual client situation. I was just recently working on one where the homeowner's insurance by itself went up over 30% without the discount. So actually, by bundling, we were able to get them their auto insurance for only about $100 a year. So that discount was huge for them. I won't say that it's that large for every case, but bundling is always the best to take advantage of and get best pricing.
Sure, sure. Another thing that is also kind of out there is you can always find cheap insurance. But what do you run into when you're out there shopping and you find cheap insurance? Is there anything to consider when it comes to like deductibles on your insurance coverage?
I think the biggest misconception is that you get the same exact thing when you buy online, right? You don't get a local agent, you don't get the advice. A lot of times you're dealing with someone that's maybe listed in a different state or a different country that maybe don't know the state laws where we reside, right? And so educating our clients comes first. And it's really important that they understand Wisconsin state law, how that relates to their auto liability coverages and what that could mean for them down the road as far as protecting themselves and their family's assets, right? So first and foremost, I think buying online, they've turned insurance into kind of a commodity, right? And so I don't think that that's necessarily a good thing. Like I said, we represent multiple carriers. We shop around to find the best price that we can, but also educate our clients about what coverages they need, right? We're not here to tell you what you want to hear. We're here to tell you what you need to hear.
So when I appreciate that. So when my clients are searching around for home insurance, is it always best when you're searching for home insurance to also take a look at all your coverages, including your auto insurance coverages?
Yeah, I mean,
and additional coverages that you might need?
That's a really good question as well. I think, you have to look at insurance as an entire package. You're trying to protect your family and their belongings and your assets and everything that we work so hard to accumulate, right? And so auto insurance plays a part in that. Your home insurance plays a part in that. And I think umbrella policy, is part of that as well. The auto liability limits are the biggest struggle that we see, when we're comparing other insurance policies. I feel like a lot of people don't understand how important those coverages are as it relates to protecting your family and their assets, as well as probably adding an umbrella policy on top of that. So really understanding the big picture, right? And yes, it's always good to save as much as possible or get the best price, but not at the sacrifice of coverage.
Sure. So you mentioned umbrella policies.
Yep.
Tell me a little bit about what an umbrella policy is.
So an umbrella policy typically is going to cover the same things that your homeowner's policy or your auto policy would cover. It's an extension of liability coverage so that when those limits are exhausted on either the home or the umbrella policy, that umbrella policy kicks in and covers over and above those so that you're not paying those costs out of your own pocket. For example, let's just say we're in a major vehicle accident and someone passes away from those injuries. The state would award $350,000 for anyone over 18, $500,000 for anyone under 18. So hypothetically, if your auto limits don't cover those limits, then the rest is coming out of your pocket if you don't have an umbrella. So it's important to understand those coverages and how they all work together so that you're best protected.
Is there any other coverages that someone might look at when they are buying a home? Is having potentially a life insurance policy, take a look at something like that might be helpful?
Yeah, I mean, and that's kind of the joke, right, with life insurance is it's never less expensive than it is today, right? It's best to buy it when you're young and healthy and plan for the future. Unfortunately, I had a brother that passed away at 40, and, you just never know when things could happen. So life insurance isn't designed for you, it's for your loved ones, right, to make sure that they don't have issues down the road, that they don't have to change their standard of living or, there isn't drastic changes in finances, right, if we lose one of the breadwinners. And so life insurance is always important. and there's lots of different options as far as life insurance goes. But yes, I think that's an important plan or an important part of your financial planning as far as protecting that mortgage, right? Protecting your family, and maybe leaving an estate for your loved ones. Other coverages, I mean, you mentioned some other coverages, some other really popular ones that we're seeing these days is mechanical breakdown. That's an added endorsement onto the homeowners policy that some carriers are providing. When I say mechanical breakdown, a lot of people think home warranty. It is not. It is not a home warranty. It is designed for unexpected breakdown of mechanical equipment, HVAC, AC units, furnace, refrigerator, that kind of stuff. Unexpected, right? It can't be due to wear and tear, just age, that kind of stuff. But that's an added coverage that can be helpful, especially for new homeowners that may not have the budget or things set aside for those unexpected expenses.
All right, I got one final question for you, and I appreciate your time. Working with an independent agent, you mentioned that you have a lot of different companies that you work with. Tell me, not necessarily the company names, but why someone would use a company in the area. Do you have any carriers that you work with in the area? Do you have any carriers that are, fly by the seat of their pants kind of companies? Some of these online places that you can get insurance with, you may not know that, how to get in touch with the insurance company. Are they insurance companies that are available that you can work as an independent agent, find a carrier that is, local, or a carrier that really knows how to work with people in this area?
Yeah, and I think that's the huge advantage of working with an independent agent is we don't represent the carriers, right? So I guess to be upfront, we represent all A-rated or better carriers. They're rated as good or better than all the carriers you've ever heard of or are familiar with that spend billions of dollars on advertising. The difference is that they don't spend that money on advertising, and the savings gets passed on to the client. So the coverages are as good or better, their ratings are as good or better, they have local representatives, they have local claims adjusters. We do advise that in the event of a claim that you're calling us as the agent, right? So we can discuss that and set up expectations and try to help manage that as you go through things. Also, because we don't represent the individual carriers, right? We're there as a mediator, right? If there's issues with the claim, we're there to help the client. We're not from the company side. So we're there to help our clients and help them navigate the claim situation, make sure that things are getting taken care of as best we can.
Well, Jason, I thank you. Excuse me. I thank you for your time today. I appreciate it. Hopefully everyone will get a good idea of what insurance is and why it's important to take a look at. Again, thanks, Jason.
Thanks, Rob. I appreciate you having me on.
I hope you enjoyed this current installment of Welcome Home, your video guide to mortgage planning. Please stay tuned for future episodes, and don't forget to subscribe below. Thank you.